Starting off at number 10 now, we have the sock puppet. This one comes from Ireland, where many years ago a man owned all the land around a village and rented it out to the poor farmers there for a profit. He was very kind to his own family but brutal to the other villagers. He made a fortune from this cruelty. The villagers hatched a plan to overthrow him one day. One Christmas night he threw a lavish party for his friends while the villagers were starving in the cold. A villager arrived bearing a gift. He said it was a present for the rich man's daughter. The girl opened it to find a sock puppet that the villager had knitted. He asked for some food in return. The rich man gave him a single potato. The girl loved the sock puppet though. She named it Charlie. She took it to bed that night. When her father went to check on her, she was fast asleep. But he noticed that Charlie was still on her hand and its plastic eyes were staring right at him. The villagers were about to get their bloody revenge on the rich man thanks to a murderous sock puppet called Charlie.
Next up, it's Yeti Santa and his favourite deputy. Oh hey there Santa, what's, going on with your face?
Well, kids, it's mighty cold in the North Pole, so you need hair that covers all of your face.
Good. I think I could be a more Santa. I'd be less creepy than him. Okay, but actually, creepy peepees out of a hair full of face? Absolutely not. Also, has anyone noticed Santa's hand there? Like, where's that going, bud?
Sliding to number 8 spot, we have Belsnickel. Now, most people will think of The Office when they think of Belsnickel, but there's actually a weird and creepy legend tied to the character. It's an old German legend that started in the early 1800s that this old man in fur would deliver cakes, candies, and nuts to the good children. So he'd kind of act as if like he's Santa giving gifts to the kids on the nice list. Except he was some creepy old man and he would just carry around a whip and he would actually whip the bad children on the night of Christmas Eve. The character was based on an older German myth of a servant of St. Nicholas. Apparently the figure is actually preserved in Pennsylvania Dutch communities and Brazilian German communities. Listen, everyone can believe what they want, but no man is coming up in my house and whipping my kids. If anyone's gonna do that, it's me. That's probably why I'm not a mom.
Coming in at 7. Oh, this is like the other one.
This is like Santa Purge. If Santa was gonna go out and purge tonight, this is what he would wear.
First of all, the woman looks like she's a part of the Manson family.
Yeah.
And
that can't be the mother. So she's like 13.
Actually, is that a woman?
Is that a sister?
Is that a brother?
I mean, it's 2019. I don't know.
I don't know either. But that Santa's f***ed up. It's another face on a face, and I don't like it. Another one wearing lipstick.
Oh yeah, what's with the lipstick?
This is so f***ed up.
Moving on to number 6 now, we have Bloody Axe. This story actually comes from an old horror comic, and the pictures you're seeing now are from just that. It's written from the perspective of an 8-year-old boy. He would lie very still under the old moth-eaten quilt his mother had made for him. He would be wide awake and listen out for sounds. On one Christmas Eve, he heard the front door closing and the clomp, clomp, clomp of his father's mud-caked boots, and then there was the sound of dripping on the stairs. Drip, drip, drip. Then his father would pass by his doorway and the light would cast his shadow on the bedroom wall and the shadow of the bloody axe he always carried in his hands. At breakfast the next morning he slowly asked his mother where his father had been last night. She looked at him with sad eyes but never said a word. By the end of this story though, we learn that there is a connection with the rumours of the nearby axe murderer and his father's return every night. Let's just say it doesn't have a pretty ending.
Just prepare yourself for number 5. Are you prepared? I really hope so because here he is. I can't decide whether this child is cute or is actually the spawn of Satan. If she is evil, she and nightmarish Saint Nick might make a great duo of villains. Seriously though, what is happening here? Why is Santa wearing blue eyeshadow and what's happening with his eyebrows? And I mean, oh, so much going on. Also, what is that right eye doing? It's over here, but he's over here. I've also just noticed his tan driving gloves. I'm very disturbed by this man.
Number 4, candy canes were created to symbolize Jesus. The candy cane is in the shape of a J to stand for Jesus, and the red on the candy cane represents the blood of Christ. I mean, this is pretty intense. The cane is like wood, and wood is like the cross that Jesus was on. So candy canes aren't just symbolizing Jesus, it's actually symbolizing the moment he was nailed to the cross. If this is all true, that's pretty morbid to think about. I mean, I love candy canes and I don't think about all that stuff. But now I'm pretty upset with this one. I think my childhood is ruined, so let's move on. Okay, next up, number 3, we have...
Oh no.
the devil himself.
That is the devil. Look at that glare.
I gotta comment on the kid. He's really white. He hasn't seen the sun yet. He's white.
Is he my brother?
You're white, but like he's real white.
That's the dream. That's the goal. What's he doing? Step up. I am the pale queen.
But that Santa's like, yeah, pretty possessed.
He's not happy to be there.
Does that kind of look like Jimmy Fallon a little bit? Is that a stretch?
Fan theory.
Is Jimmy Fallon and Santa?
That's Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
Confirmed here.
Traveled through time to be
Santa to hold this pale child. Wow, dream big, Jimmy.
Moving on to number 2 now, guys, we have Belsnickel. If you're watching this from a Germanic-speaking country, you may be familiar already with this story. In that part of the world, the Belsnickel is a fur-clad Christmas gift bringer. He has a long tongue and is typically very ragged and disheveled. His clothes are dirty and ripped, and he's known for beating misbehaved children with a stick. He's a mythical creature that serves as an almost anti-Santa-like creature. If it's Santa's job to deliver joy and presents, it's the Belsnickel's job to make sure they deserve it.
Okay, finally at number 1, we have this red-faced menace. Ooh, I'm actually kind of lost for words here. Someone needs to tell this kid that this Santa is an imposter. Just look at his hands. Monster hands. The actual hands of a monster. Sure, he's scary with this strange scarlet mask on, but imagine what he's hiding underneath. Whoa.
Starting us off at number 10 is the legend of the poisonous poinsettia. They are a very popular Christmas decoration because their leaves turn a bright red color when they bloom throughout their flowering period, which is November to March. It's safe to say that millions of them are sold each year, but you might think twice after I tell you about the urban legend that is linked to them. For decades now, there has been a dark myth that has people believing one poinsettia leaf can kill a human child. It has been a dire warning that goes around every Christmas, warning people not to bring these plants home if they have kids or pets. Some people believe that the plant actually contains a deadly poison. Apparently there has been a reported case that when a child even rubbed up against one of the plants, his face broke out into this brutal rash. So if anyone buys you one of these plants for Christmas, they are probably trying to kill you.
Next up at number 9. Oh, this is my worst nightmare.
Oh, that kid's not liking it.
Ooh,
that kid's like, that's not Santa.
He knows that's f***ed up. That's not right.
Who is that?
That's not a face.
That's like a, is that like a cat face?
That's a face on a face. I can't even tell.
Face on a face?
It's a face on a face and that's not his face. So where do you get that?
But if you're the parent and you go to the mall and that's your Santa Claus, my kid ain't going on your lap.
Worst thing is, that's someone's house. Who took that kid to this person's house?
Oh, that is someone's.
Creepy. They didn't leave that house. This is the last picture of them.
Moving on to number 8 now, we have The Figure. This one comes from Arthur H, who shared his story on cagemom.com. He said, "My mother, to whom I was very close, passed away in 1964 when I was 17 years old. I left home that year and moved to Ontario from Nova Scotia. In 1969, I met a girl who I will call Karen, and we got married in March of 1970. In December of 1971, we were expecting our first child. We were living in a small 1.5 bedroom bungalow. There was a fireplace in the living room. My wife and I loved the fireplace, and we had it lit every night. It was Christmas Eve 1971, and we had just finished putting the gifts under the tree, and a nice fire gave off a beautiful glow. On the tree, one string of lights, which was supposed to flash, had stopped several days before. It was 5 minutes to midnight when the fireplace suddenly just about went out, and a string of lights started to flash, and the other lights stopped flashing. My wife and I were sitting on the floor, and it had become very chilly in the room. I looked over to my lazy boy chair, and a figure was sitting there. My mother, with a big beautiful smile on her face. My wife, who had never met my mother, said she could see the same thing. This ghost never spoke, but just kept looking at me and my wife and smiling. At 12 midnight, the fire in the fireplace started up again, and the lights on the tree stopped flashing, and the others started flashing again. I looked over in the chair, and the ghost was gone. No matter what I did to those Christmas lights, they never flashed again."
Is Santa high at number 7? Like, actually Probably. I genuinely thought that Santa's tongue was this young girl's ribbon for a really uncomfortably long period of time, but actually, thankfully, it's not. I really still wouldn't trust him though. Look at little Jeff on the left, that's a fake smile if ever I saw one. And Emily on the right, those eyes are screaming, help me.
Number 6, Santa Claus might be very depressed, and he might be suicidal as well, and Christmas might come to an end. Santa every year has to fly around giving gifts to the nice kids. By Christmas time, he has to be as fat as possible because that's what society wants him to be, especially the kids. So Santa has to eat all day and all night, and he has to eat as many cookies as possible to train his body for Christmas time, because everyone leaves cookies for him. With all the strict rules and the same thing over and over again, Santa might be super depressed, and it's all our fault. Now, that is something hard to live with. Think about how much Santa has to go through just for our greediness. We want Santa to do it all, even the impossible. We make him eat all year round and then say, okay, now I want you to come down this chimney. Of course, it's the smallest chimney. Well, let's just hope Santa finds his happy place once again and nothing bad happens to him.
Coming in at 5.
Well, the baby's crying. Whoa.
Oh,
Does he have lipstick? He has cheek stick. What do you, blush? Is it called blush?
It's called blush, but I prefer cheek stick. He's got his cheek stick on.
That's good.
I think he's got eyeshadow on as well.
Yeah, that's creepy.
This is a look.
Is that a clown or is that Santa? Is that Bozo the clown?
It's both. Bozo undercover as Santa.
Ooh.
Worse still, I don't think that child is crying. I think she's so happy to be there.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't like how he's holding her. I don't like any of these Santas holding anyone.
Alright everyone, moving on to number 4 now, we have the clown puppet. There was once 3 sisters, aged 15, 12 and 7. They told their parents what they wanted for their Christmas gift of choice. The oldest asked for a laptop, the middle for an iPad, and the youngest for a small doll. On Christmas Day, the oldest and middle daughters got what they asked for. They were over the moon. The youngest daughter didn't receive a doll though. Instead, she got a clown puppet. She thought it was cute and so she kept it. 2 days later, the youngest daughter disappeared. The next Christmas, the oldest daughter asked for an iPad and the middle child asked for a clown puppet. Sure enough, 2 days later, she disappeared. The next Christmas, the last remaining daughter asked for a clown puppet in memory of her sisters. She disappeared as well. The heartbroken parents never recovered. They eventually became so poor they had to sell everything for money. One day they went into the attic to look for items to sell. That's when they saw, in the darkness at the very back, the clown puppet was sitting on a throne made from lollipop sticks, arranged all around it were the severed heads and limbs of the 3 missing girls.
This kid absolutely called it at number 3. Santa is a literal ghoul and this girl is calling upon the power of Christ to compel him. Also, this is one ghoul who can travel because here he is again taunting another child.
Taking over the number 2 spot is the legend of GRYLA. What's more disturbing than a lady witch eating a bunch of children for pure entertainment? Absolutely nothing. The legend originated in Iceland and the tale goes that a giant named GRYLA has the ability to sense which children have misbehaved all year round. Apparently, she keeps a record of bad children and come Christmas time, she comes down from her mountain and kidnaps them in a sack. Then she takes them back up to her mountain and she eats them. Like literally cannibal. Eats them, the hills of ice kind of stuff. Word on the street says that she will sometimes just eat them whole or she will turn them into a stew. She is one Christmas visitor that you do not want to see.
Alright, next up at number 1, let's see what we have. Okay, that is the devil. That's
Satan.
We found the devil, and that kid is like.
In what world do you think that's okay?
And he went into his garden and got his gardening gloves on.
I didn't even notice the gloves.
And his suit is supposed to be white right there, but it's so dirty.
It's dirty. He's been rolling around in the garden.
He's been planting.
Santa's been in the garden. He's dug up this child.
But like, okay, look at his eyes.
There are no eyes.
What is
that? Is that his real face?
That's his real face.
That is his real face. That is Satan.
That's pretty damn terrifying.
I don't like it.
Number 10. I'm sorry, Mole Santa can't come to the throne right now. Why? Cause he's dead. I mean, look at him, he is so dead. Santa is a zombie and this kid absolutely knows it but is stuck in his undead grasp. Bummer. And I have to say, You're next, kiddo. The only thing this kid is getting this Christmas is the ability to live forever without a brain and a new fear of baseball bats.
Alright, moving on, number 9, let's talk about mincemeat pies. These delicious looking desserts right here. Well, you might not actually be saying that for long. Well, the mincemeat pies has become a very popular Christmas dish, while legends has it that these desserts were invented back in the 16th century by cannibals. The recipe today calls for fruits, spices, cinnamon, nutmeg. There's also herbs in there, but let's just say that those weren't the only ingredients in this. Well, there was a time where these pies used to have meat in them, but it's rumored that that was stopped so people didn't have to guess, what type of meat was actually in these pies, because you never know if people tried to follow the old traditions and maybe slip in some human meat. And from there we move on to number 8. What the heck?
Oh, there's a lot happening in
there's
this
a
picture.
family.
Why? There's a rabbit.
Why is there a clown, a rabbit?
A clown. What?
The kid looks sort of happy.
He does look. I think he's confused.
Is Santa wearing a lipstick, and does he have a unibrow?
He's wearing lipstick.
He is, right?
That's so.
And why is his beard so old and wrinkly looking?
His beard is wet.
Yeah,
It's
and yellow.
wet.
Did he pee on it?
Oh, that's disgusting.
You ever smell a Santa, like a mall Santa, and they smell like piss?
No, I never smelt one because when I'd sit on the lap, I'd cry and scream because I never liked Santa. Never trusted.
You never trust
No.
him. After this video, I don't trust Santa Claus either.
You can't trust Santa, it's just an old man. What is the clown? The bow? It's all freaking me out. I don't like it because it's all children, but one old man wearing lipstick.
Next up at number 7 now, we have The Boy Who Killed Santa Claus. This one was written by Mark Allen Gunnels. It's about a 7-year-old boy called Henry Childers. He asked his mum to stay up past 10 on Christmas Eve one year, but she warned him that if he didn't go to sleep, Santa wouldn't come that night. He had hoped that Santa would get things right this year. Last year, he asked for an Xbox, but he got a PlayStation instead. His mum told him not to worry, Santa was probably all out of Xboxes, but Henry had not forgotten. Henry had a rage inside of him. He had been plotting all year. He knew he was too little to fight Santa, but he also knew that Santa liked to have milk and cookies. He also knew that food and drink can always be poisoned. Finish the story to find out what happened to the boy who killed Santa Claus. It's a good one.
Oh look, it's Santa's killer cronies at number 6. Okay, so skipping over Our Mate Father Christmas for just one moment, get a load of the expressionless clown to the left and Donnie Darko the Nightmare Bunny to the right. Then there's Santa. Straggly beard and a mismatching monobrow, because male grooming is just not a primary focus in the North Pole, apparently.
Halfway through the list at number 5 is Purge. So I didn't know that there are evil spirits that come out around Christmas time. Apparently this channel is trying to ruin the holidays for me. There's an urban legend around a dual-gendered spirit named Purge who will either appear as a beautiful woman or a haggard crone. I'm going to refer to it as a she for this one because I'm going to pretend that it is the beautiful woman. Apparently she would visit homes throughout the 12 days of Christmas and she would determine whether they have behaved all year. You know, the classic naughty and nice list. However, there is nothing classic about hers because if they were a good kid, she would leave them a silver coin. However, if they were bad, she would slit their bellies open, remove their guts, and stuff them with straw and pebbles. That is a little bit intense. I would literally be terrified of December if this was going on every year. However, this would make a really cool scary movie. I might be onto something here.
Alright, just like that, number 4. Well, she doesn't like her life. She's crying for sure. Get me out of here!
This is more like it.
Oh my god.
That's how I would react.
Why does he look fake?
Why are all of these Santas wearing faces on their face?
And he's wearing the cheek stick.
The cheek stick is on for sure. It's
Yeah.
not as good as the last cheek stick though.
No, but she's having a rough time.
The boy though is definitely on board with Santa. He's got his little hand on the lap, loving life. That poor girl. She's dead inside. Same.
And that little girl grew up to be Lucy. This is her picture. Imagine.
Yay! I'm still here, everyone. Just mentally scarred. That's why I am the way I am.
Next up at number 3 now, we have the Griefer. He told them the story of the Grifter, the most awful thing in the world. He lives in a cave at the North Pole. The coldest, wettest place on Earth is where the Grifter makes his home. He sleeps in the wreck of a ship. He doesn't mind the cold and he doesn't mind the wet, but the thing he hates most of all is to hear someone say his name. He has very good ears and they get bigger every time his name is spoken anywhere on Earth. Sometimes his ears get so big he can use them to fly. At this point, Steffa said she didn't like the story. It was scaring her. It's too late now, the mother said. We've already mentioned his name. The grifter is probably on his way to our house this very minute. Those words will come to haunt them before this story ends.
Another demonic Santa at number 2. Did we say that Santa lives in the North Pole? Right, yeah, actually we meant hell. Santa lives in hell. Even his hood is menacing. Also, since when did Hell Santa wear lipstick? Ugh. Okay, so before we hit number 1, I just want to give an honorable mention to this bunny. If we ever do a creepiest Easter bunnies of all time, then this honey would be right up there.
Finally, number 1, Krampus might actually be real. Krampus is half goat, half demon creature.
Everybody, hold on to each other.
Krampus usually comes out during the Christmas season, and he punishes children who have misbehaved, so exactly like how Santa Claus does. Maybe Santa gives Krampus his naughty list. I mean, did you guys ever wonder what Santa does with his naughty list? So starting us off in at number 10, we have this.
What is this dude?
What
Where's his eyes?
Okay, this seems like a really old picture, and where is his eyes?
He's eyeless.
This is eyeless Claus?
Eyeless Claus. But the woman seems happy to be there.
Is that Mrs. Claus? Or
Ooh.
she's kind of too old to be a kid sitting on his lap.
I mean, they look like a great couple. I mean, she's happy to be there. She's of age, it's fine.
Moving on to number 9 now, we have Christmas tree decorations. This is a story from Scary for Kids about a girl called Juliet who was decorating a Christmas tree. Her mum was working late, and so when she finished with the tree, she sat down to watch some TV. It was then that she heard a scratching noise at the door. She looked through the peephole to see a man outside. He was a large, bearded guy in a red suit with fluffy white trim. He banged on the door loudly. Juliet asked, "Who's there?" The man said he was Santa Claus and that he wanted to come in because he was cold and tired and hungry. Juliet didn't believe him. She told him that her mother wasn't home and she wanted him to leave. His face began to go red and twist with anger. He knocked even harder and growled,
It's Santa Claus, Juliet. Have you laid out some milk and cookies for me, Juliet? You know how much Santa loves his milk and cookies.
Honestly, it's a creepy story from start to finish, and it only gets worse for Juliet from there. All I'll say is make sure you don't read it right after you've eaten.
Speaking of Santa's hand, he needs to get it off that package at number 8. This Santa is straight up sinister. The package is one thing, his eyes are another altogether. This dude isn't okay, and neither is that yellow stain in his hair. It kinda looks like he's dunked it in a pint of beer, which would explain that rosy glow. Seriously though, Santa is supposed to be a right jolly old elf, but I really wouldn't want to crack a joke around this chap. I think he would shoot me.
Number 7, like I was saying during the intro of this video, Santa Claus might actually be Satan in disguise. The devil is Santa in the flesh. I mean, how terrifying is that? Don't believe me? Well, how do you think that he got his name Santa? It seems pretty random. Maybe it's not so random. It's just Satan rearranged. I mean, why is this man sliding down people's chimneys and breaking into people's houses? Isn't that trespassing? Santa literally has a naughty list so he can keep an eye on them. He gives naughty people useless coal just to mess with them so they feel bad about themselves. It's believed that Santa was inspired by characteristics of the devil. Alright, from that Santa to number 6, let's see what we have. What?
Whoa.
I don't even see it. Where is he?
Is that Santa Claus?
What is that?
Why is the beard...
I don't know if this is Santa
That's like a brown mass of evil.
or the devil.
That is the devil. Look at his little hands on the boy holding him.
I don't even, oh, his hands are
That-
black. I don't think those are gloves. Those are just his hands. And the boy's wearing just all white. Like he's the angel and he's the freaking devil.
It's like the boy's about to say bye-bye. I got you now. Imagine those hands coming around you. Oh no. Horrible. Merry Christmas.
Moving on to number 5 now, we have The Carol Singers. This is a story based on The Vanishing House by Bernard Capes. The storyteller said that when they were a boy, their grandfather and father were alcoholics who never worked. They could play instruments though. On one Christmas Eve, they took him Christmas caroling with them, door to door. It was a dark night, snow was falling and the wind cut through them like a knife. They came to a big mansion decorated with Christmas lights. The grandfather knocked on the front door and they began to play some old Christmas carols. When the door finally swung open, in the dim light they could see a young woman stood holding a tray of glasses in her hands. She picked up a glass and handed it to the grandfather, who excitedly took it. The boy looked up to a window above and saw a hideous face peering out of the shadows. He looked back at the woman in the doorway and her face had twisted hideously too. They would live to regret the day they ever came to that mansion and the grandfather taking that glass.
Speaking of gloves, why is Santa wearing Dexter-style murderous rubber gloves at number 4? Okay, but actually the gloves really aren't the worst part of this picture. Is this the Purge? That's my question. Santa's wearing a mask and I really feel like Santa should never wear a mask. Also, you can see his cheap shirt poking through his red suit, which makes me think that actually this is just one big disguise and he isn't really Santa after all. I feel like this little girl knows it too. She's like, ugh. Why is everyone in the background laughing at this hellish scene? They need to call for help. I can see police signs, but where are actually the police?
Cruising into number 3 is werewolves. I know what you're thinking. What do werewolves have to do with Christmas? If they are going to be linked to any kind of holiday, it's probably going to be Halloween. But I'm here to surprise you with the news that there is a dark myth behind werewolves and Christmas Day. The urban legend goes that anyone who was born on Christmas Day would turn into a werewolf. The 1961 movie called The Curse of the Werewolf explains the legend that being born on December 25th is mocking Jesus Christ, so you must be punished. But you don't turn into like an actual werewolf, you're a human who gets possessed and turns into this like werewolf-like monster thing. So you better plan out your pregnancies and hope your baby isn't born on Christmas Day.
Coming in at number 2.
Why? That is creepy.
It's not just cheek stick now,
Like-
it's eye stick.
Or an eye face. It's all over his damn face. Is this real though? There's no way that this person went to the mall and saw that Santa, and there's no way that that kid is that happy.
No, never. In what world? Like, this is an old picture, but not. Santas didn't look like that. This is screwed up.
Oh, you know what I realized? You know what that kid's doing? He's doing one of these. We fell for it.
He can punch us.
He can punch us now. Is that kid just trolled us?
That's the biggest troll. Imagine being that smart and pulling that, knowing that years later someone's gonna look at this picture and then get punched in the arm. I want to be this kid.
This kid's smart.
Iconic. What a kid. Legend. Never forget.
And that kid grew up to be President Donald Trump.
And finally, number 1 now, we have purple fingernails. This one comes from the Scary for Kids website, and I'll read it exactly as I found it. There was once a little girl who had a large collection of dolls. One Christmas, she saw a doll in the window of a department store that she absolutely had to have. It had long, flowing blonde hair and a lovely blue dress. But the thing that impressed her the most about the doll was that it had lovely, bold, purple fingernails. When Christmas morning came, she was delighted to find the doll with the purple fingernails lying under the Christmas tree. She played with it all day, and when she went to sleep, she put it on the table at her bedside. That night, the little girl was awakened by strange noises. It was still dark outside. She looked over for her doll, but it was nowhere to be found. The girl, puzzled, got out of bed and walked into the hallway. The door to her parents' room was ajar, and she pushed it open softly and looked in. Her parents appeared to be sleeping soundly, and so she went back to bed. In the morning, she saw the doll with the purple fingernails was sitting on the table by her bed, exactly where she had left it. She assumed that she must have just been having a bad dream, but when she went into her parents' room that morning, she found them both lying dead in a pool of blood. There were 2 purple doll fingernails stabbed into their hearts.